All right, everybody, welcome. This thing's about to go crazy updating. Sorry about that, guys. 1 second. Give everybody a minute to hop on here. All right. All right, perfect. All right, looks like everybody's hopping on. We'll get straight to it, guys. Looking at a couple different things today as far as the major ETFs. 1 second. All right, so we saw the Qs up 0.16%, SPY barely up at all. We'll go ahead and just go over those as we kind of cruise. It's always good to know where our major ETFs are. So looking at the Qs, held support. We were able to take advantage of that movement on the Qs to the upside originally. And that did provide, I'm going to go ahead and move my OBS real quick. Sorry, guys. Or move my, there we go. Perfect. Oh, can you guys on YouTube, can you guys see my screen okay? All right, well, as long as you guys can see that. So anyway, holding support, pushing back up and hitting that target that we set for the Qs today, and that target was 339.35, surpassed it by like 2 cents. But I expected a brief rejection at that point, and we did end the day basically at yesterday's or Monday's high. So if we go look at the hourly here, you can see just basically resting right above that high. That's not really a good sign right here to see an hourly bear flag off of this rejection, but that was a rejection for sure. So we may be looking at some continuation to the downside tomorrow, and likely I would imagine we would hit or bounce somewhere around this wick 335. The bounce off 335 was nothing to shake a stick at. And it did occur on relatively high volume, but all in all still stayed underneath that major 9-day moving average, which is your bullish moving average. So you want to see it stay above that. So Okay, so anyway, for the Qs, the Dow, basically down 0.21%. Another rejection again at that 348.11 mark, 348.20 mark. That has been a level to break and a level to reject, and we've seen that rejection 2 times. If we draw a little trend line here. Well, actually, no, we're just going to leave that support. So this support here, it looks like that's 344.50. That is where we bounced off of today. Sorry, guys. Big bullish candle here. So we may see a little bit of a reversal tomorrow. I imagine that as we edge towards inflation news and everything else, that investors are nervous. That's why we've seen a lot of flat action. So we could see a lot of chop. And then, you know, we also have quad witching next week. I don't know if that's already coming into play, but it is definitely a possibility. Let's see here. Okay, so looking at SPY, same kind of deal here. Basically, I'm gonna have to move this back up, but basically rejecting this resistance here for 422, 423 mark. That mark has been rejected multiple times here as we kind of consolidate here in this triangle. I would unfortunately say that looking into tomorrow, the market kind of does look like it wants to turn over. So if you guys are still holding any downside protection, that is now turned into a potential downside play there. So I'm pretty excited. I mean, I don't want the market to dump, but I'm excited at the potential to actually see some price movement here. But if you see the wicks or the there we go. So if you take a look at the chart though, and where the support is, we did in fact bounce off of that today and then go back into this, what looks to be like an ascending wedge. So we could see some further consolidation, maybe even another retest. I will say though, on the contrary, not to come into anything with a bias, that the dark pool on Monday for SPY was stuff that you usually see when markets surge to all-time highs. I mean, big orders coming in, and so there is a potential that we don't, or we just continue to chop around. Maybe inflation news, they already know. Maybe the market's in tune for a short-term rally, so we'll see here. Okay. So IWM. You know what? Let me. So that one up 2.4% today. This one actually crushed the only target that I had for it. If you guys remember, or if you guys were on live with us, or if you've watched the video, we talked about the targets that IWM needed to potentially hit. And in fact, you can see without even moving this line, that's exactly where we ended up retesting right here today. So we ended up breaking out, retest, and then bounced right back out. That obviously allowed a lot of small caps to fly. So pretty exciting stuff there. I can't call a pullback at this point, but we are up against a relatively strong resistance where we made an inverted cup and handle and dumped when we hit the 243.50 mark. So 243.50 or 234 would likely be a relatively strong target tomorrow. So please be weary, or not weary, but be cautious and aware of that resistance above you if you're in any type of small cap stocks. If that ends up hitting resistance, I would probably look to take profit on any type of short-term equity plays, so as like scalping and stuff like that. Okie dokie. So to recap some of the tickers that we played today, because it's important to keep track of these type of things. I am in great belief that Microsoft is not over yet, but I do see some potential downside looking at the type of rejection that we ended up getting today. So there is a potential that we could see, whether it be another trip down to resist or support, or just retesting some of these previous levels like the 251 or 250 level. It would be rather disappointing to see it kind of chop around there, but it would make a lot of sense as the Qs look down kind of potentially. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. The swing though, successful 255 strike. We ended up moving up here, and then something that was really, it was just exciting because you know when you actively chart, this is an important lesson for anybody that's in the stock market. How's it going? I'll check on that, Samurai. It might be best if anybody on there, if you guys want to hop on our YouTube at Simple Stacks Investments. I'm streaming on Reddit as well, so that's where we're actually streaming this right now. We're just going over, recapping some of today's plays. Oh, look at that. Camera on camera. Okay. So I can't seem to stream on Reddit on my OBS. It just, I have the RPAN, but it won't work. So anyway, looking back on today's play, the initial downtick, right? And if I move this resistance up to the correct part, this is, resistance, support, this yellow line right here, and I'll change the color, and we'll make that light, we'll make it pink. There we go. So this pink support, which was resistance, that was what we were talking about yesterday. We wanted to go ahead and break above that. We did gap up awesome. And I was able to take profit on a few. Obviously in the small account, you guys know, that's you can actually see that down here. Those of you on YouTube running a little small account, we were able to get a nice gain off of that, 125 bucks. And I don't know if it shows my history. Let's see, for today. It does not. But anyway, so that was over 150% play for weeklies. But this is what I'm kind of really urging you guys to pay close attention to. So we were hey, what's up, T Fuzzy? Thanks for stopping by, man. So if you see something like this, right, and this is why actively charting is a good idea. The 1 minute when you're looking for potential setups, the 5 minute can be kind of blinding, and I think that they understand. Market makers probably know, because I've seen a lot of high frequency trading where you see like patterns, not like complex patterns, but you could even say complex patterns, but being built on smaller time frames, and then seeing a lot of faking out happening on the 5 minute. So looking at Microsoft, right? My first initial instinct was, okay, we made a new break off of that in pre-market. We broke this resistance, and then we were naturally, you're always going to get a retest. So I ended up not taking profit on all of it, but holding. And as I watched this build, I saw this little triangle here, right, before anything actually broke out. And I saw that it was holding a new support line, so I held it. And then eventually it broke the downtrend established here in pre-market. You can see if I run this line right here, very well respected, body sitting there, wick, and pre-market body. So breaking out, and then right when it got that rejection, I noticed it started sitting flat. Normally when you get a candle like this, it's gonna pull back on you, or at least gonna go back down and test support. It didn't quite do that. but I did notice that the volume started to die off and the new highs were not making significant gains. Then off of these two wicks, this is where live charting becomes essential. It's instinctual in a way, but you can see where there's a natural angle, right? There's like, yeah, I know that I'm gonna run it off of my opening candle high, and I'm gonna look for that top resistance. That's exactly where we ended up. And on the third touch, right? 1, 2, 3, excuse me. That's if we didn't make a new high there, I knew that this was an ascending wedge, and I took profit on that candle. And it felt great because, and honestly, I could have just flipped over and played puts. Rolly ended up taking that over, and that was amazing. I was really happy about that. Yeah, anybody tuning in on Reddit, you guys can find us on Simple Stacks Investments. I don't even know the name of my own group. And we're streaming on YouTube there. So that's one of the reasons why it's important to not just watch price action, not just pay attention to a few things, but to be actively looking for what they're building. They're building something, right? And I mean by they, I mean market makers. Things are being built, and you can see that is a textbook ascending wedge, and that's a reversal pattern to the downside, and that's exactly what we got. So Rolly was able to catch almost all of this downside. I was able to catch this downside here towards the end of the day, and not a bad play at all. So all right. So Ford, even though it did not end up being a winning trade, we're still going to talk about it because it's super duper important to talk about losses, and it really wasn't a terrible loss or anything like that. Definitely a high probability setup, just didn't play out that way, and I really think that the market didn't provide that opportunity, and the reason why I feel that way is because it held trend. Right, so if I pull this support line down here, and I could, if I wanted to, I could just pop it down there off the wicks. There you go. So that's why I feel strongly about Ford. It may not be right now. It may just be that the markets are about to take a little bit of a breather. If SPY moves up, or if the automobile industry, and Ford's a part of the EV, and will continue to transfer over to the EV sector. But this one actually stayed in trend, even though it broke this hourly support here, sitting on top of that 50-day moving average. I do expect a potential leg down around the 1521 level. At that point, we're just going to be paying attention to whether it breaks support or not. I'm likely going to hold my July calls, as I got a really good average, and they're easy to hedge. So like really easy. So you can scalp weeklies or June 18th and make decent profit there. So no, this is not a gaming stream. This is stonks rising or falling depending on the situation. All right, so what I'm looking at tomorrow, if we break and hold above 1575, then we could see this support act as our resistance, and may see it trend up before. I mean, it's never good. It'd be nice if we would pop back up above that. If we don't end up doing that, we may even see a retest and then a breakdown. So we'll keep our eyes on that one. We'll go over Tesla. We're going to take some requests here if anybody's interested in having some tickers looked at. I'm just going to go over some of the trades that we took today, kind of just as a recap. Okay, so PSTH, not only is this one getting a little bit of Reddit love, But it also has it's an hourly, but it's a pretty textbook cup and handle here after this sweet gap down. I say sweet because I think it's going to make for a relatively good gap fill play, but also just making it a little bit cheaper for us to buy. So pretty happy about that. But does look like that cup and handle. Here's your cup here. There's your handle there. And so I would be looking for a potential retest. And I will say, now that I'm looking at this, I see that's kind of stretching it. So yeah, I think textbook cup and handle break above the 50-day EMA. I'm going to go ahead and set an alert. That's at 24.20. But we're out long. I think the first target's going to be naturally 24. The break of 24. We have a relatively strong resistance at 24.38. But we're in July $30 calls. And if we look at the daily time frame here, you can see where this gap down kind of has us at. And if I show you guys, so that's, you can see pretty perfect there, running off of this body anyway. I could, like I said, run it off of these wicks and have it like so, and you can see it rest on the body there. But anyway, relatively strong support here. So 30 call is kind of ballsy, I'm not gonna lie, but seeing where it's made and the news that it's had with the potential 10% acquisition of Universal Music Group, that's really gonna expand things for them. So hinky honky, we're gonna look at all of them. We're here for tendies. My money is in all of the. I've put a little bit of money in all of the memes. It's just a thank you to the warriors that live inside of the Wall Street bets and super stunk subreddits. All right. So that's the perishing square. See here. I want to take a look at Baidu. So if anybody played that to the downside with me, little disappointed that I cut my contract this morning. I did that out of like, it's not moving kind of thing. Like it's just sitting there. And it was a weekly. I didn't want to get burned up. But it literally moved like an hour later. But I was pretty preoccupied. And here's the thing. It didn't move like I wanted to anyway, so I'm pretty glad that I got out of the trade, and we're going to take a look at why. So if we go off of this high, right, off of the body of this high, and we draw, you can see there's kind of a triangle forming here. It broke this downtrend. So with the break of that downtrend, it could either exchange resistance for support and continue down, or it could use this as kind of a platform. There's mixed signals with Baidu, and something that I obviously with the China yeah, that's very true, Snee. We haven't talked about that in a long time. APPS. We will take a look at that one. I've traded lightly on Baidu because I'm waiting, and I'd like to see it move in either direction, but it just does not have a lot of liquidity right now, and it looks like it is forming a massive triangle here, or almost like a pennant. So, and this is descending, so it may just continue to further consolidate. And if it does, I'll probably just leave it alone and set alerts on either one of these resistances. So, all right, excuse me. All right, so we'll go ahead and kind of go over some meme stocks as they are. It is important. but I know a lot of people are watching that one, so we'll go ahead and take a look at those, and then we'll get into whatever requests that you guys have. So taking a look at AMC, obviously technicals and fundamentals can be fishy here, but at this point, staying in range. So it looks like buyers have held it up. Let's see here. Kind of within this 58.85 and $54 level. So those are going to be two important levels to hold and either break. I would personally say right now, looking at the pattern, and buyers are holding up this 54.25 level. But if you could maybe end up bouncing tomorrow, or if the meme stocks end up sending it, but end up picking up some more volatility, then we may see some movement. But I mean, that's really all you can say about meme stocks at this point. Even though this is trading at range, and it did make this textbook triangle here, it's starting to get really choppy as it broke resistance. So, all right. So Apple, I'm curious to see how Zoom, which had a really great daily setup, is going to end up responding to the basically Apple. They've replaced Zoom with the FaceTime updates in some ways. So that is definitely a little bit sketchy for Zoom in the future, especially seeing how they've done on earnings and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see this price action. It's definitely in a tight range where I'd rather not. And even if it did pull back, it could end up making like an inverse head and shoulders at that point. But I've got that one on watch as well. So, okay, so Tesla, right? What? Oh man, I thought that said, is that correct? Yeah, we'll take a look at PLTR as well. If you guys are in the live stream on Reddit, if you guys are, on YouTube, if you guys wouldn't mind leaving a like as a snack for the algorithms. They are hungry. Okay, so I'm not quite sure why this says 422.90 in post market. Maybe somebody can give me an idea if that's correct or not, because I do not see it. But Tesla, let's go see, where are we at? Okay, so if we zoom out here and look at the downtrend, right, that we had established here. Pretty clean, very obvious right here. So what happens, we ended up gapping up above that, and I think that was a kind of a move by market makers, because what ended up happening is you ended up breaking that 200-day EMA, and you ended up breaking back into that triangle for a legitimate fake out. So in my opinion, with the hourly bear flag sitting on these moving averages, and you can even see the volume was crazy today and still made. So that's big money pushing this price action down. So in my opinion, I would look for, and I'm gonna go ahead and draw this little support for you. So I would expect a push down to 595. After a push past 595, that would likely have you back down. Let's go right here. I'd actually, never mind, let me take, yeah, so 595.85. That would be where support is at. If you end up getting a bounce there, then you might end up having, staying in trend. Or at least trending to the upside. If not, then I would likely say that Tesla would be back down, and you can see this projection that I have here. And obviously I didn't suspect this in pre-market, so basically just like this which would have been ridiculous, excuse me, for me to try and predict. But big gap up, complete tear, and so I don't know. I'm looking at this one with the 200-day EMA at 610, backing up that resistance. More than likely, you're gonna have another retest of that 595. You break 595, then you have a daily support at 583 or 584, excuse me. APPS. Also, guys, I'm gonna keep this short. I know I probably don't look at. I'm not feeling super duper well right now, so I'm gonna basically take your guys' request, and then yeah, we'll go from there. So thank you guys though for tuning in. I appreciate it. And any of you guys are new to the channel, every single day I post updates on all the stocks, or at least the majority of the stocks that I'm watching, as far as like Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, PLTR, anything that I'm playing, I'll usually update it for people. So feel free to scroll through those if you will. So APPS, nice find, Snee, and honestly I haven't really paid attention to it. I do know that they had earnings recently, and that's what ended up bringing them back up, like in my mind. And so we're gonna take a look at the daily here, but I'm fairly certain I see a couple different potentials here, and so we'll go over each one. So first of all, we're gonna set a resistance right here. You can see this is strong. Right, and I might even being a little bit too liberal with it. So right around the, yeah, that would be more accurate. The 76 mark, 75.50 mark. If we end up seeing a rejection there is the potential that you would move back down here, right? So that would look a little bit like this, right? So push back up, a reversal. The moving averages are just now crossing that. Whenever you're too far away from your moving averages, that's always a good indication that you should be scaling out of certain trades if you're a day trader. That means that when a retest does occur, it's not going to be pretty. It doesn't mean it's going to like lose trend. It's just it might lose like a 5-15 minute trend and pull back on you relatively quickly. So with these moving averages, still looking for the crossover, and if you're new or don't know what a moving average is, it's literally exactly what it sounds like. It's literally the average moving, like the average of that stock across, if I say the 9-day moving average, that would be 9 days of the average of that stock's closing price. And then it's literally moving. So it's showing you represented with those lines. But what I like to look for, especially as a swing trader, is I like to look for potential EMA crossovers or just moving average crossovers. This one is the 6-day and the 9-day looking to go cross over the 50-day moving average. You can see here when the original 6-day moving average crossover occurs, you get a big pump. Then you get a retest of that 9, and then the next moving average crossover occurs, and you end up pumping. So right now, I would imagine, if anything, and this would likely happen anyway because it fits the second potential as well. So what you could end up having is a pullback here, and then an immediate bounce off of that level. It may not even be that drastic, but something like that, and that would end up making an inverse head and shoulders, which is a reversal pattern, and usually will send stocks on the right direction for an extended amount of time, especially if you see it on the hour or the daily time frame. So I like that one a lot. And this one has really, really good volume as well. So that's super duper important for me anyway. When I'm looking at potential trades, I'm always looking for volume, as it is my number one indicator. So 76 on the dot is where I would likely look for that rejection. If you end up breaking it, then that's awesome. But also look at the wicks here. So you may even break it, hold it. You may even be able to hit that 77 mark, hold it up there, make a flag, and that would be a cup and handle. So you have the potential for a cup and handle, or you have the potential for an inverse head and shoulders. So, and there's a multitude of different cups and handles, mind you. There's a bullish cup and handle, right? And that's gonna all cup and handles are bullish, but the bullishest of them all, the most bullish, would be a flat candle or a flag. So you have that, and then you have something like a pullback like this, which is kind of a controlled descent, and that's kind of your textbook cup and handle, but that's like your regular one. So you have a really bullish cup and handle, kind of like PSTH is making. Sorry about my voice, guys. Maybe just that I talk all day, a lot, and I'm a dad. So that one looks good though, man. Samsung is their biggest client. That's another huge addition to sentiment. So, okay, so let's look at PLTR. Wow, this is scarily following my trend line. When's the last time I posted on them? Not too shabby. Damn. Okay, so PLTR, like a lot of its other friends, meme stock, unfortunately is always due for a lot of volatility. And with that, whenever it runs up, it usually sees a bit of a pullback. So if I draw a line here, it looks like it's making an ascending wedge. So you have a pretty strong resistance here. You make a very drastic pullback here, losing all of that day's gains. Then you go back and you pretty much gain all of those days gains back, and then you just continue to consolidate, showing that that wedge is forming. So in my opinion, if I pull this up and kind of correct it, it looks like PLTR ended today on support, and more than likely we'll see a pullback to the $24 range. Below 24, then you have a multitude of different levels that you can kind of look out for, and we'll go over those right now. So if you break the 50, the first one underneath that is going to be that $24 mark, of course, but it's going to be the $23.90 mark. Below $23.90, I would say the next mark after that is $23.60. So, and this is the hourly, so it's short term, right? So you may just end up getting. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's nice having you, dude. So with PLTR, so you did bounce off of your 6-day moving average here today, but if you look at how far, I mean, in fact, it's funny, I set my mark at 2350, and that's right where this 9-day moving average is just so happens to be right now. I would imagine that you would probably see a pullback here, and you may even start like making a flag at this point, or just tapering back down. But the market in general is looking a little choppy, so we may just have a red week for the rest of the week. So be careful if you're in anything to the upside. Whew, sorry, dude. Sorry, guys. I have a headache right now, pretty bad. I can like hardly my eyeballs. All right, what else we got? APPS, PLTR, Clover. So we want that one to go up, right? We do. Similar kind of wonkiness happening here. So it looks like in aftermarket you've broken uptrend. You made a rounded top here. This is on the 5-minute time frame. The hourly, you're just riding the 9-day moving or the 6-day moving average right up. Big volume. If anybody is in profit or a substantial amount, obviously it's okay to scale out and use those profits to jump back in if you're trading with options and stuff like that. T Fuzzy, you just did? You just joined the Discord? I see you. 548. Welcome. If you scroll down to the bottom, man, there's tons of free education. I hand wrote every single bit of it. So kind of just a step-by-step process. Or just some, if you're just already educated. So feel free to check around, dude. Alrighty then. What else we got? Oh god, I did a video on this back in February of what? February of 2021. Wow. That was a while ago. Oh, look at it. Look at CLOV said nope. All right, well, CLOV I guess it's like we're almost playing it live. But it looks like CLOV is about to go retest that support that it broke, but that's what I see right now. It looks like a pennant for sure. So of course, yeah, and we'll be on live. We trade live every single day, but we'll be on YouTube live again tomorrow morning at 8:30. So feel free to stop by. All right, any other tickers we want to take a look at, guys? I hate to be on much help right now, but my head is killing me here. Oh, we should go over Apple though. Oh, look at that. That was the main 128. That was my target. It hit 128.50, which was not my target. So it would have ran 50 more cents. Yeah, can't catch them all. But that bounce right there. So unfortunately, we made it back above, and I talked about this in my video about how if I ran this support off of that previous low all the way over, you would see that the previous movement on Apple has been a correction, and you can see that here, and here, and so we have moved up and made our way up and tapped that 128, but we lost a majority of those gains today. So DKNG. So more than likely with a candle like that, you might see another reversal here. Let me also do this. Yeah, okay. So look at that. This was a triangle, and they ended up showing that it was breaking out to the upside, and then they ended up pulling the body out back down. So tired. This is kind of textbook for me, man. And that may be off. Perfect. So this kind of has that ascending wedge look to it. So same thing there. You could potentially see a pullback. It is holding those moving averages. And if it does end up breaking this high right around 55.65, and it does have a good volume as well, but then more than likely you're gonna see a pullback. Guys, I see the same pattern across everywhere, and so for me, it's starting to make me feel like it's gonna be a good time to start looking at potential downside plays. Yeah, I can recap on APPS really quickly. So I have two potential possibilities here. You had decent movement today, did hold up against the market, had really good volume. The mark that I have right now is 76. That's going to be where we would likely see our rejection. If not, it may wake up to 76.75, where there you could end up pulling back and making kind of an inverse head and shoulders here, pretty textbook as well. Or you could end up making a candle, which would kind of be an inverse head and shoulders anyway. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking on this one. So it definitely looks bullish. So. All right, guys. I'm feeling the pain here, so I'm gonna go ahead and just do a few more. Boeing, guys. Youch. So this one, if you caught it to the downside, it was amazing. If you've been swinging it, it's even better. But this right here is definitely subsequential of the entire market, just kind of not moving fluidly. So it has a decent rounded bottom, kind of looks like a really goofy cup and handle, but I don't like this setup right here. About to fall asleep. My head, or not fall asleep, but pressure in my eyes makes me close my eyes. Excuse me. I think, you know what I think it is? I think I'm allergic to some tree outside of my house. All right. Well, that is about it for me. Hopefully you guys had a great day. And I will be on tomorrow morning, 8:30. Feel free to hop in there. And if you guys want me to look over any of your watch list, I will do so. So forgive me for the scratchy throat right now. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. Thank you, Fuzzy. It kind of hit me out of nowhere. So, but my eyeballs, I'm trying to open them. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys for leaving likes. And if you guys know anybody this recap, or if you guys know anybody who would just be interested in having any of their tickers charted, or just want to hear a good recap, or pre-market prep, we go over the psychological factors and, you know, calming yourself down before market open. So it's a little bit more. So if you know anybody who could use that, feel free to share that with them. So, alrighty, guys, have a good afternoon.